Here we go. And I have us really techy guy here. I have a quick voice recorder as well.
Nice, very cool.
Very cool.
All right.
This is Christopher Barger.
Yes, that is correct.
That's
You got
correct
it.
spelling.
Yes.
Yeah, and you have been global director for social media at
It's both General Motors,
General Motors.
and IBM before that.
And you've been working at General Motors for 4 years,
I
right?
was there for 4 years, yes.
And IBM for 8 years.
Yeah, the social media was only coming around, so I did 2 years of social media there. But before that, I had been in corporate communications with IBM.
Yeah, and that's interesting a little bit because how was it to work with social media from 2007?
Well, IBM it was 2004, 5, 6.
But were you working with social media on IBM as
Yes,
well?
yes.
Wow, but the title of, excuse me, will you please be a little bit quiet here because we're doing an interview?
Sorry, man.
Thank you.
You can edit that.
Yeah.
All right.
So when you're working with social media, but that wasn't your title, it was more corporate communication.
Well, eventually when I took over social media work with IBM, my title was blogger in chief. So it was social media related at that point.
That was blogger chief?
Blogger in chief.
Blogger and chief.
In chief.
In
Yep.
chief.
The first blogger, or the main IBM blogger at that.
I've never heard that expression before. Editor in chief, yes, but not blogger in chief.
That was a new one. We kind of made that one up.
Wow.
But it was fun. It was sort of being the primary voice internally and externally for the company, although there were plenty of people working on it. And then helping with IBM, there were you're working for a tech company, right? And so most of the technologists and the developers are the ones who are experimenting with blogs or podcasts or developing these platforms and starting things on their own. So with IBM, it was very much just sort of how do we coordinate all these different efforts that are taking place? How do we make sure that we're informing our people with the right information, and then letting them build their own communities where it matters, and sort of giving them as much counsel as we possibly could. With other companies, with General Motors, it was more of a start from the ground up, and rather than harnessing people, it was teaching people and trying to bring them into these platforms.
Within which department was the blogger in chief?
That was communications.
Communication.
Yes.
And communication was that separate from the marketing department?
At that time, it was. After I left IBM, communications actually took over lead of marketing. So the head of communications was given the head of marketing role as well. So, which is kind of the opposite of how it usually goes. There's usually marketing people taking charge of communications. At IBM, it's the reverse.
Yeah. But these departments, are they merging these days?
Yes.
Do you think it's good or bad or
I think it's good.
Yeah.
I think first of all, it's more reflective of how the outside world views an organization.
Yeah.
When you see something from a company, any company, IBM or Nokia or anybody, you don't think, oh, that came from marketing or that came from communications or media relations. You just think it came from the brand.
Yeah.
So rather than being siloed and separate, I think we are well advised as organizations to keep integration going with marketing and communications.
And people who's working with the communication could be the voice as well.
Yes.
Now, as George Wright told us about this blend company. Were you using your employees with the communication purpose?
Absolutely. Well, when they wanted to be. I should qualify that. You can't take employees and make them do communications or marketing for you. It's not going to happen. They're going to resist. They're going to say, well, that's not my job. On the other hand, if they are engaging in these platforms anyway, if they have a blog, if they're building up a following on Twitter, or if they're doing something on some of the other platforms, you want to, as the organization, give them as much information as you can, teach them how to do these things well, teach them a little bit about what the brand message is or what you want them to be saying, so that when they're doing what they want to do anyway, you're informing them, you're helping them do it well and represent the company well. If you haven't engaged in that kind of effort, if you're not telling them what not to say or what not to do, you risk a lot. They're out there, they want to help the organization, teach them, inform them as much as you can.
Have you been thinking of in terms of the company's social graph? Every people has its own social graph, But if you know the sum of all the employees, social graph, which is relevant for the company, should be the company social graph.
Right. And that's a distinction that a lot of organizations don't get. They spend a lot of time trying to build up followings for the brand or for just the one account. Here's our company Twitter account or company Facebook account, and they define their social graph very narrowly. That's a mistake. To your point, there's the people that follow the company presences on any of these platforms, then each of the employees has their own networks. And those, if an employee who's got maybe 250 followers or 250 readers of their blog can be even more effective than the company brand one with 80,000 followers. Because to those 250 people, if they're the right 250, your employee is impacting them, is influencing their readership a lot more than just sort of a broadcast a Twitter feed or a Facebook account or whatever else. So take into account all of your employees and what their graph looks like and how influential they are to their graph rather than how big their influence is or how wide their reach is. And then incorporate that and again begin to teach that employee. Again, if they've got 250 followers, but those 250 followers believe everything that person says, gosh, give them the right things to say, help them out, take advantage of that influence.
And would it be cool to just visualize the whole social graph of the company and the interest graph?
It would
like
the interest graph
in maps, for example.
Right.
You have different kind of maps.
But coordinate that across multiple networks so that you're showing how influential each of the employees is. Do a LinkedIn map that also incorporates Facebook and Twitter and Google Plus and whatever, a blog. Be able to map out
interaction.
Right. And be able to identify your nodes of true influence. Which of my employees that are out there really are affecting conversations, are really starting to set the tone for other conversations that take place.
Okay. When it comes to influence, what do you think about this? Cloud score, please.
Sorry. Can't see me.
When it comes to cloud and peer index and all these tools for measuring the influence,
I know what they're trying to accomplish, and I respect trying to measure influence and trying to identify those sort of nodes. I think you can run into the danger of overemphasizing a cloud score. Bluntly, if I go talk to a lot of heavy influencers or people with very high cloud scores, my cloud score will rise dramatically. That doesn't necessarily mean that I've reached a lot more people or that my influence is that much greater. It means that I'm talking to the people that cloud recognizes as influential. I find that a flaw, and I worry that companies or that individual people are going to companies going, my cloud score is 74. You should hire me. Or,
yes, because that's not the truth.
Right? That's not true influence. The algorithm changes on occasion. I think it's an imperfect science. I know what they're trying to do. I respect it, but I don't put a whole lot of stock personally in cloud scores.
Back to this employees, you have different kind of departments. You have your market department, PR department, customer service, sales department. From my perspective, these guys are doing not more or less the same thing, but in the modern world, they're serving the markets. They're engaging with the people that matters to them.
Right.
And even the sales departments, are trying to serve the people that matters. And if they would like to buy the services, they could sell it.
Right.
Which the customer service don't do, right? They don't sell it.
Right.
They're related to the sales part. But their approach is more or less the same. Well, what do you say about that?
I think we're going to evolve past that. Right now everybody's just getting into the platforms and taking another sort of same approach, like you said. Ultimately, companies will recognize for the sales department, our job isn't necessarily to build up giant followings, it's to give them the content that they're going to need to do their job. For the customer service people, they've got a very different job. For the marketing and communications people, they have very different needs. So we'll start to customize and tailor the experiences that we're promoting to all the different parts of the organization. You'll give good content, good video content, and good shareable stuff to the sales team. You'll teach the customer service people how to go use Twitter monitoring tools to find people who are complaining about the company. That information is not really going to help a salesperson. That's not going to turn a lead around for them. But for a customer service rep, that's exactly what they need and exactly what they're looking for. So I think we'll start to have more tailored, appropriate social media presences depending on the function of the business.
Because I really miss this department called marketing service. You know, we have this customer service, they're serving the customers.
Right.
But to serve the market, you know, the potential customers, that would be the
Right.
marketing department.
And that's the mistake that, you know, you hear people talking about making everybody a customer service representative and using these platforms as customer service. Exactly like you said, that takes care of the customers you already have, and it's a very good use, but it doesn't approach or attack the rest of the market. How do you use these tools to identify people who might want to become your customers? How do you make them aware of what you do, whether it's a service or a product? How do you bring them a little closer into the loop, whether it's the beginning of the funnel or they've already made a purchase? How do I ensure that they're going to make another one? You know, those are the things that we don't always think about. It's an exciting time to be doing what we're doing now, because that sort of whole first mover, let's go chase and just be out there on the platform, that time is over. And serious professionals are now going to be thinking about the things you were talking about. How do I make this work within the construct of marketing, within the construct of customer service, or of sales even? We're going to stop taking this sort of broad approach and start getting very focused.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I met Mark Nelson. Are you familiar with this guy? He's the social media manager on Salesforce. I met him in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And I asked him, when will Salesforce become a network instead of a CRM? You see what I mean? Because now these targets, which is a silly word, you know, but still the targets, you know, targets, they can't, you know, engage with the company within the system, right? They added these social profiles, but that's not a network.
Right.
So I thought the ultimate relation with the prospects would be a network relation. You see what I mean?
Right.
But he said, no, the sales guy doesn't work like that. You know, so
he knows his business probably better than I do. But
yeah, probably.
It would at some point somebody will probably do something like that. If not Salesforce, then someone else. You can always count on people trying to use these tools in new ways and to do things like that. So maybe you can invent that and get very rich, and somebody will buy your company.
Just a few more questions. I know you're busy and you have to go away, but I wonder how important is the people that matters most to your business? You see what I mean? In traditional PR, you used to, you know, trying to engage with the journalists that matters the most, because they were the gatekeepers now. But today you have spokesmen, industry thought leaders and stuff.
Right.
And but still, how important are the most influential people? Are you still working with these guys?
With the traditional media,
not traditional media. It's just trying to identify. You could use Klaus or whatever, but you're trying to identify the people that matters most. Could be your employees, could be a customer of yours, but still, there might be the 20 most important people.
I think that's very, very important for a company to do, because while these platforms make it possible for us to have relationships with, you know, direct relationships with everybody, that takes an incredible amount of scale, and there are very few companies that are going to be able to manage a relationship with every one of their customers, their employees, their influencers.
Exactly.
That's really tough to do. So finding something, you know, we talked about cloud and peer index. I don't think anybody's got it nailed yet, but finding something that allows you to genuinely identify not only who's most important to me, who's driving the most sales, whatever, but who else can impact the tone of conversation that's taking place. So even when they're not talking about our brand, they're still delivering a message that we want, or they're still representing our point of view. Identifying those people and being able to focus your efforts there, and then supplement that with the occasional conversation with, you know, the rest of the audience, is probably where we're going to go. Not because we all only want to focus on influencers. That's you know, we'd love to be able to have conversations with every single one of our employees. It just doesn't scale, and nobody could possibly manage that.
But how do you find them? I mean, and now I know you work with, how do you say, Voce?
Yes.
Voce communications.
Yes.
Okay, and then you have clients, I guess. And
yes.
How do you find the clients' most important people in this matter?
You know, it's still a lot of actual human work. You know, yes, you can use some of the tools that are out there to identify who are some possible. Then I still have to go in and read them. I still have to build the relationship. I still have to watch how often they're quoted by somebody else. I haven't found a tool that does that yet. It really takes diving in, looking at it personally, putting some human thought into it and analysis into it. It's not a perfect science. It doesn't scale very well, but
for example,
the platform blew up around us.
if you create a great piece of content, you attract a lot of traffic, and some of this traffic you realize these are really great people because they, spread this
Right.
further, they share this, and then you would like to keep these guys. Where do you keep them?
Where do you?
Are you dragging them into your CRM systems, or where do you?
It could be. It depends on
Excel sheet.
it could be in an intermediate database.
Okay.
It could be in a CRM database. Although it's been my experience anyway that most online influencers don't necessarily look at themselves as your potential customer. They see themselves as media or something within that media model. So if I put them into a CRM thing, why are you sending me this? I've never bought your stuff before, and put them into a media database, put them into an Excel sheet, just sort of keep whoever's running your social program, have them keep track of the people that, just like you keep track in a traditional PR sense, which reporters carry our stories more often, who do I have the most likelihood of getting a story if I pitch them. When you do a social media program and you put a video up or you put a blog post up, who seems to be interacting most often? Who shares that stuff with their audience? Where are you getting more likely hits? If you have 20,000 followers and somebody else only has 2,000, but that person takes all of my content and repeatedly shares it with their audience, that's who I want to be looking at, not necessarily somebody just because they've got a lot of numbers.
Would it be nice to, or good to, try to invite this to some form of network where you can continue to engage with these people and maybe serve this with some previews or,
That's an ambassador program kind of idea, and you can sometimes do that through a Facebook page. You can sometimes do that through a private network. A few years ago, everybody was trying to do private Ning networks and do something along those lines. So, the two answers to your question is yes, it's a good idea to try and bring them closer into the fold and create ambassadors to create, sort of give them an incentive to continue interacting with you. As to how to do it and what the best network or best tool is to do that, I don't know that anybody's nailed that down yet.
Because I would like to be, for an example, on the Apple's YAP list. I can test your new iPhone or
right.
So never mind. Great to
I'm sorry
talk
to
you.
have to run.
No problem. Just
Thank
keep
you.
in touch. Thank
Absolutely.
you for
Do you have a card?
this. Yeah, I have a card.